Everybody lies. This is a solitaire and cooperative story-driven game set in the world of Batman. And I'm thinking, what took so long? That was always the perfect fit. We have had the narrative-driven games in the last decade, starting at least from the first Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective in the 1980s. But then in the last decade or so, we've had an explosion of games that are basically engines to create stories, to tell stories, starting from the republication of Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, and then so many other systems such as Time Stories or Chronicles of Crime, and also the detective system to which this game belongs. So we're gonna solve crimes in the world of Gotham, but we're not gonna be Batman. We're gonna be other characters that are less famous for some of them, or in any case, less powerful, less epic. And I like that. I don't mind that. If nothing else, I've been prepared to this kind of experience by Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, which is a game that I love, in which you don't get to play Sherlock Holmes, and it's okay. I like the fact we're not reducing the mystique of the character. The character remains superhuman in a sense, but we still play as humans, as fallible humans. And so again, here you don't get to play Batman, but you could be Harvey Bullock, possibly my least favorite character among all the good guys in Gotham. You could be Warren Spacey, and I don't know how many of you even know who the character is, or think, oh man, I really wanted to be Warren Spacey. But then we had two characters that they found a lot more compelling, Vicky Vale and Catwoman, and these are the characters that I always used to play. Because you always need at least two characters, but the game is solitaire friendly, and that's how I played it. I played the game solitaire. And the other characters are still gonna hang around. You simply flip their tile to the informant side, and simply you can still use their effects. The only thing that really means to be that character is that you're gonna have personal goals that the character is going to try to fulfill. And think of them as side quests. They're completely optional. They give you more satisfaction if that character manages to accomplish what they were trying to do, but they're not necessary to solve the main case. You have one prologue, so a shorter case, and then three full cases, which you should play in order because they are connected narratively. There are things that happen that if you play them out of order, then you're gonna get spoilers. Speaking of, I'm gonna show you things just this quickly. I'm gonna show you only a couple of things here and there. I'm gonna talk a lot, not show you much because I want to avoid spoilers at all costs, because if I spoil the game, well, there's no point really. The joy of discovering the story, of uncovering, unraveling the mysteries is what the game is all about. So once you open the envelope for the case that you're gonna play, you're gonna find like a poster, like a mini poster, explaining the general case and what you should be doing and giving you the starting leads. And then each character has a similar poster with their personal objectives described. And then you will interact with the deck of leads. These are cards with a lot of text. Just to give you, don't look, but don't look. Look but don't read. I want to give you the sense that reading is the main mechanic of the game. This is similarly to Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. This is basically a game book with text printed not on the pages of a bound book. In this case, it's printed on cards. It is booklets in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. We have games like Spire's End, which also has the text printed on cards. But the main mechanic is reading. The game is basically a game book with some other mechanics here and there. So you're going to read that lead, that text, and then different things may happen. Sometimes, like a Choose Your Own Adventure book, it will unlock different leads. So like from lead 2, you can now go to lead 4 if you do this, or to lead 10 if you do this other thing. All the examples I give you are completely fictional, so I don't give you spoilers. And so like a Choose Your Own Adventure book, after you read a card, which is like 2 pages, you can read other 2 pages somewhere else. To travel Gotham. From time to time, you will need to go to locations, and there are locations represented by tiles that go on this board. Which ones are available depends on the case and the current situation. Sometimes to perform actions, you will need to collect and spend tokens, the most common of which is the Pokeball. So you take the Pokeball and you use it to capture the villains, but also to deploy them. Poison Ivy, I choose you. I'm kidding. It's a magnifying lens. I know. So just sure, kill my joy that way. Whatever. So magnifying lenses, and no, you don't collect and deploy villains. I hope that's the expansion, but not this one. You will collect tokens, very easy to collect, and you spend tokens, so you don't have a sense of a lot of scarcity that you need to fight. And again, the abilities of the characters, even the ones that are not, they're only your informant, the abilities remain. So you have some board game kind of elements as you collect tokens and spend tokens, but I don't feel that those really add all that much to the experience, but we'll talk about that later. So your lead will lead you to collect tokens and spend tokens, so will bring you to other leads. From time to time, will lead you to log into your computer and go and read files online. So to me, that's a bit of a peculiar thing, that I'm reading a card and then it tells me, go online. Ooh, magic and mysterious. And I open the file and I'm reading basically another card, but for some reason it's on a screen instead of a card. Which just makes it, just add steps to the same mechanic that I was already doing, which is reading. From time to time, the lead will give me to a card in the scene deck. This is a little bit different because these are visual cards and they basically show, like, represent mini pages of a comic book, which again gives you more of a sense of the original topic, original medium, that being comics, and there may also be clues in there. So that's interesting and fascinating. Sometimes you'll also get to special cards that belong to characters specifically, and they contain information related to their personal goals. So the main mechanic is reading physical cards. From time to time, look at some pictures. From time to time, go and read a text online. From time to time, collect a token and spend a token. After a certain number of turns, the game will, well, you can choose to enter the final phase, in which you go online and you answer some questions to see if you figured out the solution, very similar to Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective or Chronicles of Crimes. It may also be that you run out of time, then you have to go and answer those questions. And based on how well you did, how much you figured it out, you get a different score. So that's the idea. It really is an interactive mystery game book in which you read, you can discuss with other people if you're playing multiplayer, and you have to deduce the truth, or you give your interpretation, and based on how well you did, you get a score. So that's sort of the general idea. First, let me tell about the game system, and you probably figured it out already from my introduction. This game system has commonalities with other game systems that I like very much and that are excellent engines to tell stories. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, with the idea of, like, it's a mystery and I'm like a sidekick trying to figure out the things and I have to answer questions at the end. I like that. Board game elements like you have in Time Stories, where again it really matters that you collect certain things and you spend them at the right time. Digital elements. I think the detective system was one of the first ones, probably at the same time as Chronicles of Crime, to have that digital element paired with the physical components. The problem that I have is that all of these elements, to me, they don't come together very well. They don't congeal very well. I would be perfectly happy, as I am with Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, to just read, to just have an interactive game book. I'd be happy with that. It feels to me you have an experience of that kind with more steps. Going online and collect and spend tokens, but those steps don't add enough to justify that to me. They almost feel grafted onto it. They almost feel like, for the sake of it, to give this game a different feel, a different flavor. But I think they weaken the experience instead of strengthening it, because every time I'm going through these extra steps to get what a purely text-based experience would give me faster. I don't feel that I'm enjoying collecting and trading and using these tokens and moving my dirigible token on Gotham to see where I am. I don't feel it adds anything that just keeping in my head where I am at the present time. And going online to see the same kind of text that I find on a card, to me that's just very strange. It doesn't add anything. I was playing it during the day, just so happens. I was playing during the day, so there was sunlight coming in, but the electricity went out and we lost the internet connection. So if I was playing Sherlock Holmes Cross Detective, I could keep playing, and I had to take a break until we got the internet connection back because I needed to read a card that could have been printed. I look at Chronicles of Crimes where the digital element and the physical elements are integrated in a way that the digital element is doing things that the physical cannot do. And to me, that's the only reason why we should have a companion site or a companion app. If that does the same thing that I could do physically, then I prefer not to have that, to rely on that extra technology. There is one case that I found where you go online and there is like an 8-second video, like footage from a security camera. That was exciting. That's the kind of stuff I would like to do all the time. I would like to go online and hear a track record, hear a phone conversation, see a video, scan something, virtual reality like Chronicles of Crime, have an image I can click on and zoom in, zoom out. But I'm reading just another block of text. And so that's an example, and to me that's the most glaring, of the detective system adding things that I don't know why they couldn't be done more in a more linear, and efficient way. So again, it's a system that has, to me, too many steps, and several of these don't add much. When you go through all these steps, I actually enjoy the stories. I actually enjoyed the stories. Again, I cannot tell you much about what it is, but they can get pretty dark and gloomy, and there definitely are mature themes. I do not recommend playing this one with young players. This is not Adam West Batman. It's a modern, dark Batman's world. Again, you're not Batman. I like the fact that Batman is not always around and you have to deal with that. And from time to time, you do get access to the Batcave, and that feels pretty fascinating and interesting. I like the interaction between the text and the scene deck. Again, I wish I could go online and see more interactive comics, things like that. I actually enjoyed the stories, and unfortunately cannot tell you too much about them, but I think that they had structure, they had interesting characters, they deal with the background of the thing, some characters that you expect to find there, some other ones not so much. They're interesting cases, and they do feel different from one another. You are investigating different things. There is a crescendo that comes from scenario to scenario. So I almost felt like the mechanical elements were playing against an experience that to me would have felt more immersive if I was just reading and going from lead card to lead card. Having the lead cards, for example, as opposed to a bound book also has an advantage. I can spread them out, I can review them, I can move them around, almost like imagine myself, seeing movies, threads. I didn't physically do that, but I almost felt like I was doing it. The detective with all those things connected with threads. There is an advantage, a physical advantage, in having a game book in the form of lead cards. And so those were enjoyable mysteries to discover, to unravel. I didn't even do all that well actually in the final score. I'm not going to share the details, but I enjoyed trying to figure it out. Again, that's one of the things when you play things solo, one brain, or maybe only half a brain after the pandemic, but maybe you don't do so well. But following those characters, following those leads, trying to figuring things out, being a normal human in a world full of super-powered, crazed villains, created a sense of real tension. I mean, you got a sense that you're not going to die, but that sense of threat of an ominous atmosphere that should be really there when we have a game about Batman. Those things were always there. So the atmosphere is right. The Vicky Vale and Catwoman, they were a pleasure to play. The atmosphere is right, the context is right, the mysteries are interesting, the conversations with the characters. As a mystery, it works. The engine on which this mystery runs is not my favorite. I don't think the system compares favorably to competitors such as Sherlock Holmes or Something Detective, Time Stories, or Chronicles of Crime. The replay value is very limited, as you can imagine, but that comes with the territory, that comes with a game where solving a mystery is going to be the main idea. But there are no legacy elements, so once you're done, you can give it to a friend, you can direct another group playing, so it's replayable, just not by you. So, Everybody Lies. There are fun mysteries to be had here. The system is not one that I enjoy all that much. I hope that they do more with it or less with it. I hope that the next ones are just gonna be either stacks, read lead cards, look at scene deck cards, enjoy the story, or going online gives me whoa fun stuff that we found there using those board game elements, fun stuff. I wish these other elements other than text were more or less than they are. But the stories, the mysteries are fun. And this is my somewhat mixed impression review of Everybody Lies.